Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session about the power of RDI networks. We will do this together with a lot of stakeholders, but Metropolia project, and welcome also Pontus on stage with me. So my name is Teemu Lehtinen, I'm from KIRAHub, and we are really happy to host this session at our Urban Tree space today morning. So today we're going to look at a couple of specific networks in Europe, ECTP and Built4People. So why do you want to host this session?
Yeah, I'm part of a project called, or maybe I should also explain that we can do this bilingually. If you have any questions, voitte esittää kysymyksiä myös suomeksi tässä esityksen jälkeen tai aikana esittäjille. But I'll start in English. I'm part of a project called Vaikuttavat verkostot yhteistyössä parempaa ja enemmän TKI:tä. Yeah, and we are looking to help the construction industry and real estate industry to, through innovation, find places for growth. So we all know that the market is challenging at the moment, but it's not the only challenge that we have as an industry to face. We have I will show you at the end of this session a book that has recently come out from Rakennustietosäätiö about 30 new or big challenges that this whole industry needs to tackle, both because of legislation but also megatrends facing the industry. And so there's a great opportunity in developing things, but the problem is that no single company can alone solve these problems. So we need to work in networks, and we need to do research and development together to find out new concepts and innovations and business opportunities. And that's what this series of lectures will be about. Today, we will focus on Built4People and European Construction Technology Platform, what the ECT cryptic stands for. And next time, it will be some other network, but we'll also hear about KIRAHub's network today. So thank you for that.
Indeed. And super important topic also from the perspective of the whole Finland. I mean, we have the government's objective of increasing RDI expenses from about 2.9% to 4% by 2030. And I think within the building environment sector, it's kind of even lower in general where we're at. So there's a lot of...
Exactly. And Finland has a lot of catching up to do as far as EU funding and getting some of the money that we are paying to EU back into Finnish economy. So we are also, with the Built4People, is directly connected to Horizon Europe funding, and this we'll hear more about today as well. But these are great opportunities for all of us to find networks, ecosystems, partners, and then look for funding and bring some of this funding, which is actually being doubled in the next program sequence. This is what I heard from von Leiden recently. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity. So that's why we're here. And welcome, and I think I'll let you introduce the first speaker.
Yes, so without further ado, let's get going. So we will have various presentations today, and let's have this session as interactive as possible. We have some participants here on site at Urban Tree, and then we have a lot of participants online as well. So feel free to ask questions, submit comments also on the platform where you're looking at this session. I have to connect the presentation back to the stream because we have a little glitch today with the restream, but hopefully it doesn't bother us too much. All right. So let's get going. I would like to invite the first speaker, Isabel Pinto-Seppa from VTT. lead EU strategic policies and networks and international affairs and policy. Please welcome Isabel.
I think it's okay without the mic.
Yes, let's use the mic because we have also
Okay.
participants.
So you can
online.
hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, good morning, everyone. Let's see if I can work with the technology. Yes. Hey, good morning, everyone. So I'm Isabel Pinto-Seppa, and as the Tata said there, I'm working currently taking care of the EU affairs in VTT for all VTT, but more specifically taking care of the policies, taking care of the network. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. So we work a bit years ahead. So Pontus already referred the new framework to come, the new program. So that's what I'm currently do. But I've been working in VTT for many years, and from that years about 20 in the area of construction and cities and built environment, doing many things, but almost all the time connecting with the EU programs, either managing the portfolio, being coordinator myself, putting up proposals. So from that legacy, I still represent VTT in these networks. So today I'm bringing a bit of mix of both. So explaining you the background, explaining you maybe if you have questions from my experience of setting up the portfolios, participating in the proposals, and explaining you these networks and how we connect also with this influence, because I think Pontus introduced it very well. The construction contribution sometimes comparing with other areas, so the demands are very high. The programs and the R&D funds we found are not that high and proportionally to the demands. So it's good to think of it. So these networks are part of it, okay? So that's what I'm bringing here today. And first I will explain a bit the basics, because so everyone could be in the same understanding. I know that not everyone has the same mapping where these networks end, but I know also there's people here that know it very well. So for the ones that know it very well, please bear with me for a bit. So I will explain a bit the big mapping. So the EU funding programs, so the EU public fund, it was created to fund the risk parts and societal challenges that cannot be that need the critical mass in the EU and cannot be and need like transnational cooperation of the big expertise, cannot be solved at the national level. So that's the role of the public fund in the EU, is to look for these big challenges, to help covering the risks, to help solving the challenge, putting the critical mass of expertise together and the companies. So then when they decide this funding for RDI, they have the so-called framework programs. So sometimes you listen to FPs. The FPs is just a jargon name, FP1, FP4. So currently we are in FP9 and looking to FP7. That has to be just framework programs in the 7 years. So the Commission budgets everything for each period of 7 years. And with that budget, there's the line budget for R&I, for research, development, and innovation. And then that budget, which is here marked, is distributed under funding programs. And the one that it's directly at research innovation, so the current one is called Horizon Europe. It will last till 27. And now it has been announced by the Commission that they will keep the name, which is good, because this keeping changing the names gets us all men have to always learn. So the next one between 28 and 34 will also be called Horizon Europe. So we will have a bit of stability, hopefully a bit of increase of budget, as Pontus referred, but that still remains to be seen. But that's the programs. So the programs manage the fund. They manage the portfolio, how to do. So the way they do it is that they, yes?
Please continue.
Yeah, okay. They create the so-called instruments. So there are several instruments within the programs, like, for example, in Finland, Business Finland also has the co-innovation instrument, the research to business instrument. So there's several instruments in the EU funding programs, and many of them most of them in Horizon Europe give grants, but they can also give equity funds, loans. There's a bit all range. So today, to focus, we will be talking about instruments that give grants. So it's the normal calls of Horizon Europe. So they give grants, okay? And one of these instruments are the partnerships. In general, they are called European partnerships. They are all in this funding put in the same bucket. And then within the partnerships, there are different ones. There are the public-public, when the Commission pairs with the national states, so the funds are both public. And then there's the public-private, where the Commission pairs with the privates. So that's where we are going to discuss today. Sorry about this, but I know that maybe not everyone is familiar, so I thought about giving this introduction. So we will be talking about public-private partnerships, which are an instrument, more than a network, they are also networks, so they are an instrument to distribute funds within, or to manage the funds within these programs. So don't be scared with this slide. So this is the landscape of all the partnership currently in Horizon Europe for all areas. They have a bit color code here. So the yellow ones are public, private, and public. So they are joint undertakings. They do demand more commitments, very industrial driven, but also with the member states and the Commission on board. They have their own programs and entities. They are things like the clean aviation or the clean hydrogen. So they have their own programs. And then the light blue, the greens are their own EITs, but the light blue are the public-public. They are the so-called co-funded partnerships. So they are partnerships where the member states put funds and the commissions top up with funds, and the calls are open nationally. Like usually, so in Finland will be the Research Council or the Academy or Business Finland that will open the calls. So for example, there's going to be a forestry partnership opening soon. There's the raw materials. And for the cities, there's also the driving urban transitions, that Business Finland. So that one's, it's EU fund, but comes through. And then there's the dark blue, which we will focus today when we're talking. They are the so-called co-programs. So they are not institutionalized. They don't manage their own funds. They are just putting stakeholders from the private side together, and private side think about research organizations, universities, and all the industry, from the big ones to small NGOs. So that's called private side, is everything that is not the Commission or the member states as public. So they put together this critical mass, and then they discuss with the Commission, like co-creating what should be done. There is an allocated budget, and that what should be done is then come in the normal calls in the program. So this is the partnerships, and the Built4People is one of them. So it's the one dedicated to the construction sector, which is under the climate, energy, and mobility for a question of legacy, because in the previous framework, this Horizon 2020, there was the energy efficiency buildings. And that partnership evolved to this Built4People. By a request of the industry and stakeholders, they did not want it to focus only on energy efficiency. I will talk about the objectives a bit later. So it was agreed that it was still under the energy. It's still a big part of it, but not only. Focus also on other things. But this is why the historical reason. Okay. Now, because this partnership, so there's this, when you listen, you see in my slides, this Built4People, or B4P as short as it came in the calls. This is what we are talking. We are talking about the partnership, which is a funding instrument, and it's talking, the reason there is like the stakeholders co-create with the European Commission what should be in the programs. But then someone needs to manage that. Okay, so there's a memorandum of understanding. So who represents the private side? They cannot be, the Commission cannot talk with 20, 30 entities. So these dark blue ones, which are the cold program, are always anchored in one or two associations. And this is where the European Construction Technology Platform, which is a platform and association that exists for 20 years, comes into the picture. Okay, so that's why we are talking here on these two. So there's the Built4People partnership, and then behind it, to coordinate, and coordinate means collect things from stakeholders, talk with the commission, reporting. There's the European Construction Platform, also the World Green Building Council. They have been managing the platform together, and now for the latest years of this program, there's also ENCORD, which is, I don't remember exactly what it stands for, but it's the European Association for all the big construction companies in Europe. So it's only construction companies, while the platform, there's the industry, the research, NGOs, so all stakeholders looking. So they are coming and collaborate very close. Yeah, so it crash again. Okay. So that's how it works like in practice. So when you hear about the partnership, is the instrument itself, and then there's the associations. The way that this is coordinated is that there's one board in the partnership, is almost 40 persons between the, I don't remember exactly the numbers, but maybe 20, 30 effective persons, and then there's the substitute persons, but we had agreed with the commission that everyone can follow. So even if the substitutes are not in the room, they are following it online, okay? And from Finland, VTT, Metropolia, and Uponor are members of the construction technology platform and members of the board with the partnership. And then there's also Tampere University and Turku University of the Applied Sciences that are members of the ECTP. So if they want, they can also then, the board is renewed each 2 years, so it's not always the same people there. So anyone that is in the platform or in the World Green Building Council, or let's see if the ENCORD joins officially, so can then apply to the board, okay? And then the way it works, that independent of being on the board or not, the construction platform, so that's the one where we sit, so I will talk more about that today, because the World Green Building Council is different because it deals with the national, like there's the Finnish National Building Council, so it's a networks. So many of the stakeholders are in the construction platform, so the industry and the research organizations like VTT. So this is why I will pick. So within the platform, whatever is discussed in the board, so there's the communication for the members. Hey, this was discussed, and there's also, there's the two ways. So I will talk a bit about that. So just as a bit of a summary, so we have here, so the European partnerships are done when the EU, for their funding programs, feels that, okay, there is this big challenge we want to solve. We cannot solve it alone. We need to have everyone on board together, just pool, optimize resources here. And we need support, and we need them also to help us aligning. So this is how they decide for this area is good to have a partnership, and then they might change. We have been apping, so VTT participates maybe 25, 27 of that partnerships. We are really happy to see they will still stay. Many of them are not perfect, there are many critics, but we prefer to discuss and improve the instrument than to lose this critical mass. I think they are a very good instrument to interact with the Commission on the needs, and also to align the R&D that is done with the needs for the policies. So this is quite important. So there is this double dialogue on the needs. So that's like to create the impact. Okay, but then there's the partner perspective. So at the individual perspective, yes, they are like networks. So they allow to also the double, they allow to know what is coming. So from this dialogue, being involved in these networks, so we know ahead, like, okay, we propose this so we can influence. I think Pontus referred to this new document in Finland of the needs. So that's like huge amounts of things that maybe the Finnish industry or the Finnish partners involved in these networks should now take a look and put in these agendas. Hey, from Finland, we think this is need to be done. Okay, so this is the way that is there. But then there's also the other way, which is not everything we ask it's done, right? So it's good then to find out what's going to be, what's going to happen a bit ahead, so one can prepare. And then there's the network, because building the consortiums is important, but not only. I think especially for small industries which don't have always the channels to the Europe. So participating is also an opportunity to show off to the rest and to the big construction companies, European one, hey, I have this to offer, independent of the EU calls. So it's good that they know there are other business going around, not just the EU, so they are networks. So it's a bit of everything. So I will not read all these busy slides, but it's just a reminder of, I think Pontus put it very well, that everything that needs to be done between the business and competitiveness that needs to be done, and between the legislation and what is coming that needs to be done. The demands are huge. They are more than I think what some companies need to do, and this is why it's good to get together, and it's good to get together with the rest of Europe. And nowadays, the Horizon Europe associating countries, which traditionally were just Europe, even if the ones like Norway or UK that come and go, like UK or Norway that's been out, they have been now really expanding. So we are not talking only about Europe. There's Canada, New Zealand, South Korea. So there's a huge Australia. So there's a huge number of countries associating, which it's possible to bring that kind of organizations to the consortium. So it's good to think about that, to all this. And also, it's good to think, and this is what we do in the networks we influence, to keep in mind that we are not seeing all these challenges reflecting in the amount of funds we get, or even in the recognition. So it's good to remember that we do it. Did it crash again? Yeah. So that's just a reminder why then, even if we are not seeing a huge budget, so these slides is one of the reasons why the Commission said, okay, let's then have a partnership with a dedicated fund, because that's also what it brings the network, but it brings also that there's a earmarked fund for that calls in the programs, okay? So that's where the Built4People come. And as I said, so when we moved from the energy efficient buildings to this framework, the industry was very clear, saying that the energy efficiency is, of course, critical. They will implement, but it's not the only challenge to solve. So they wanted to enlarge. They wanted to enlarge to this, okay, to the scientific, to all the technology solutions need to be developed, but also to the economic. And with the economic means looking at the business models, looking at the systemic level, looking at interactions with the urban planning, with the mobility, and then the societal behavioral changes, including the person. So I will not go hugely deep on all the objectives of the partnership. We will later listen about the open calls, but basically this is the idea. So the stakeholders and the Commission agree, okay, these are the three main objectives. So now let's discuss what is the things we need to research and innovate within these thematic areas, okay? So that's how it goes. So first, the partners, especially the private side, just put together where we want to go. What is the strategy we want to do? What are the topics we need to research to achieve that objectives? And it builds what sometimes when you go to these websites, you will see SRIA, 3S, people in the huge. It's strategic research and innovation agendas, okay? That's the strategy. This is almost like a wish list that it's done, and it's done in the associations, all the stakeholders. So then the board is only, let's say, the contact point. And it's given to the Commission, this is our strategy. And then the Commission picks from there, and there's a dialogue, okay? So there's collaboration. in this interaction. So these things that really do. So there's matchmaking, there's networking events, not just to put up the proposal, but also when the proposals of projects are running, because there are, as you know, in each call, there's 2-3 projects being approved. Unfortunately, only 2-3. We wanted 5-10, but that some of that projects are working in the same topics. So it's good, like if we have 10-15 organizations in one consortium, and then you have these cluster events where you find the other multiply, hey, more 20 doing similar things. It's also network and scientific exchange. Then there's the information sharing, as I say, both ways, actually 3 ways. Information to inform the commission on what is need to be done, to receive information, what ahead, what's going to be done, what are the new policies coming. So in 2 weeks, there's the board of the partnership, and we will listen the person from the commission in charge of the Affordable House Initiative in the EU, which is one of the priorities, also indicated by Ursula von der Leyen in her speech. And that's the idea. They will tell, okay, this is what we are thinking. It's the important to do to the affordable house, and then the board will reply, well, from the private side, we think this, and this is important, and you are not accounting with X and Y. So there's a bit of a dialogue opportunity to contribute also to the influence. And then there's the third dimension, that independence of this dialogue between the commission and the private side and what it could come to support the funds. There's also the network itself. There's small companies, big companies, research organizations, and normally there's always, oh, I found you. You're doing the same as me. Oh, your result is very important for something we are doing nationally in a project. So then it goes from there. Now, it goes from there, but as I say, the partnership itself is just a board. So most of these activities go through the association, through the platform. It's association, there's a membership fee, which goes between 1,000 to 3,000 euros per year for smaller, medium companies, and then the big companies pay around 10,000. So this is, when I say around, is because there's adjustments, there's movements, but these are the, let's say, range of values that we are talking. Is a construction platform. And the construction platform, so this is the important to do. So it's living for 20 years. So it has a life of its own, is on not the partnership. So there's the construction platform, which does many of the activities and runs the partnership then on the side, or as a core thing, but it's not that the platform was not created to run, to be an association to manage the partnership. The platform exists, and then it does the partnership. So when the partnership goes, the platform stays. Okay, and the way that is organized, there are 6, it's called committees, task forces. So when we join the association, we can choose, for example, VTT has people in almost all the committees. And it goes like, so there's the infrastructure and mobility. So many of the big construction companies are here. And usually one of the bigger activities they do is that they are very close with this. If someone follows the infrastructure, there is this TRA, which is the biggest conference for the transport and infrastructure. So the ECTP participates directly in the organization of that, is that committee. Then there's the digital build environment, anything connecting with the digital, the materials, the heritage and regeneration, so preservation of the cultural heritage, the build environment decarbonization, which is a big title covering circularity, the systemic area, energy efficiency, all the things relating with decarbonization, but also the productivity, construction as a manufacturing is quite connected there. And then the Build for Life, which deals more with the people and the citizens and the comfort areas So this is how it's organized in the platform. And it goes, the committees have a life of their own, and not everything is ruled by the platform. So, for example, last year in the materials, VTT and the equivalent in Netherlands, we say bio-based materials are quite important for the construction. Let's put together a position paper, what we think it's important, and then people jump in and we are soon publishing it. So it has a life of their own, and people can say, let's do something together. And then in general, it's cross-transversal. It's not only about funding and EU. So the association works to match people, to collaborate, so to do, but also to influence, to work on skills. So there are other associations like FIEC that works a lot with the skills, which are associated in the technology platform. And in general, also, the societal recognition, it comes that there's a big part of the influence at all levels to say, yes, construction is embedded everywhere and not quite often recognized. It's always like a bit, it needs to be done, okay? So that's, so to influence, to assess the knowledge, and to create opportunities. So that's the three big areas on why it's good to participate. And then a last word, just for that it doesn't stay in Europe. So then the results need to be localized. So there is this Built4People innovation clusters, which are voluntary. We will hear about them today, but just to connect. So there's like any local cluster can then apply and be connected. So this is another level. This is not just going through Brussels, but it's going once you are in the network, the Finnish cluster might want to discuss with the Spanish or with the Portuguese and collaborate from there to other things. So that's was my last one, and open for question. This is quite deep. I try to explain in a bit more or less, but any questions are welcome.
All right.
Do you want to go now or?
Yes, we can have quick questions here. Okay. So any questions from the audience?
Ja suomeksi on ok.
Suomeksi käy myös.
Hän auta minua.
Kyllä.
Jos minä en ymmärrä, joo, minä ymmärrän vähän. Ota vielä vaikea sitten vastaan. Ei oo.
Sieltä tulee yksi.
Can you give an example of how the Finnish construction industry, for instance, has influenced the calls that have come in this horizon period?
Yeah, I can give you one, but I also have to comment that I wish I will have more examples, because up till now we only have one Finnish industry, which is Uponor. So we would really like to have more on board. Okay, so that's I can give. But one example has been, and it's not just the Finnish industry, so with the stakeholders, when it was the energy efficiency buildings, we could see call after call coming for insulating facades. And we really pressed okay, we get it, it's true. The South needs a lot of solutions to insulate, but here the energy efficiency is not just about insulation. Okay, and that we really kind of press, and we are not seeing so much, because we press is not that it's not need, of course, it's a European call, but we kind of really explained to the Commission, hey, we already had 3-4 years of each year. It's only about facade insulation. It's enough. So they can now take up that results and let's explore other things, namely the digital, that what can contribute to optimization of the energy management and other issues. So this is something that I feel that, yeah, it took a while, but we pass it with a little help of our Nordic neighbors as well. Finland is not there alone. There's Sintef from Norway. There's Rise from Sweden. So we did pair on that. The biomaterials is another one. It's only this year we are doing the biomaterials for construction, and I have been in this network maybe for 10 years trying to push it. But we manage also.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Yes, we can continue on the break. All right, let's continue with the program, and just set the slides here up again. So next we will go to I think the only official local cluster for the Built4People, Green Net Finland, and Ilkka Aaltio, Managing Director. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks. I have this microphone. I hope it is working. Thanks. Yes, and thanks very much for this opportunity to come to talk to you. My name is Ilkka Aaltio, and so in the previous presentation we heard a lot of information about this, in my opinion, a bit complex world of the European Horizon programs and partnerships, but we are then working on this national and international level in practice to carry out these projects. And so we are a local Built4People innovation cluster in Finland, and this is since last year when we signed a charter for this Built4People network and objectives, and joined as an innovation cluster. First about Green Net Finland. So we are a Finnish cleantech cluster, and we are bringing together this. We are R&D cluster also. So we are bringing the expertise and resources of cleantech companies. Then we have scientific and educational institutions and public authorities. So it gives us a good position to plan development projects which have a lot of impact when we can join all these different sectors. And it is common for our members that they are drivers of responsible green technology and green business. We have always this technology aspect in our projects somehow connected, and it's very important for us. And we are also committed to this decarbonization, and already done that for more than 20 years in this cluster. So this is very important for Green Net Finland and its members. And of course, it comes from the we try to create added value to our members, like the cities and the regional council of Helsinki-Uusimaa and their strategies. And this decarbonization is of course very much built in their strategies as well. And we prepare and we implement R&D projects together with our members and other organizations. And this is our main activity. All of our employees are involved in the projects, in the execution of the projects. And we are a membership-based network. We are a non-profit association registered in Finland, and all our members are organizations registered or having activity in Finland. Okay, our key focus areas are here. There's the sustainable and clean energy and environment. So we have a lot of projects, for instance, for improving the energy efficiency of built environment or district heating and so on, and energy storage and renewable energy. And then another one is the smart and sustainable mobility, which is very important, and it seems now to become even more important when the energy emissions in Finland are luckily decreasing, and the traffic becomes very, very dominant in emissions. But circular economy is very important for us, and especially since the last almost 10 years, we have been doing circular economy projects, especially for the construction and related to the constructions and demolition sector. Then we also do international business projects and cluster collaboration projects. We have, for instance, now a project focusing on Japan. And so if you have excellent Finnish green tech products and you have a company, we are happy to help you to inspect the Japanese market and to go to Japan. We are going to Japan with some of our companies next month, and this month, end of this month, to Osaka. And so this and mutual themes for all these key focus areas are, of course, energy efficiency and decarbonation and digitalization. That's a kind of a multidisciplinary topic which is coming to all sectors. Then this is our network at the moment. So you can see there's, for instance, important members like City of Helsinki and City of Vantaa, and also many companies. Some of them are in the building automation or energy sector, and of course we try to involve our members always in the project, and we are happy to carry out especially such projects where our members are committed, and if they have some ideas, we try to formulate that on. Yes. Sorry, some technical. Thanks. Okay. So many of these companies are also in our projects, for instance, to Japan, and also they have been involved in the projects for developing the circular solutions for construction. Some facts about our Net Finland. So now we have about 60 bigger clean tech development projects in our portfolio that have been done mostly in Finland, around the Baltic Sea or Nordics and European. So we have maybe 1/3 of our projects are European, like Interreg or European Union projects, and maybe 2/3 are national projects in Finland. And we have been quite successful in these proposals, but of course we know that for us as Horizon Europe, it's very competitive, and I think that there you have to be very good, have a good proposal to succeed. We have about 30 members, and we employ now we employ 4 full-time persons, and we run now at the moment 6 different projects. So that gives you an idea of what kind of size we have. And we have luckily got some acknowledgements from the European Union for the quality of our projects. Also, like this Ranta project, it was focusing on the circular demolition of buildings, and development of that also involved Metropolia Applied University and Hämeen Applied University and Sykli, and we were a finalist in this RegioStarts competition, which is like a high quality projects in European Union. So we calculated that we were among the 6 best projects in the European Union in that case. And we are also members in some networks, like this Built4People, of course, is important network and partnership, and then this European Cluster Collaboration Platform is also very, very good for us. We collaborate with other clusters in Europe, and we also have a lot of collaboration with Helsinki Circular Economic Cluster of the Helsinki City, who is running projects, and I think that we even might have had a role in the start of this cluster, because we were collaborating with Helsinki in projects before, and then Helsinki wanted to commit their own organization to this, for which we are very happy. And so we heard that this PPP, private-public partnership, is in the Commission or the European Union level, but we are a cluster of PPP, so we are really a PPP cluster. That's an advantage for us. So we can, for instance, pilot cases with cities together with companies and cities and universities in our projects. The circular construction is something that I have been believing in for many years now. I have been now 6 years in Net Finland, and we have been running all the time this kind of projects. And I think that this is something we absolutely have to do in Europe. And I'm very happy that this Built4People network is also existing now. I think that we started even before that network, this work. This Digipurku is a project which we finalized this year together with our partners. Also Metropolia was there, and the first one was Ranta. That was focusing on this material streams coming from the demolition sites of municipalities. Like we had pilots with Helsinki City, with our collaborators Metropolia and Sykli and HAMK, and this was more like focusing on what kind of materials are coming out of the demolition. And then we have been all the time building projects on the top of the previous results, so that we are utilizing the previous project results in the next development phase. And Hyppy projects, which was from 2019 to 2022, it was more focused on this value chains and how to remove concrete slab from a building to demolished building. It was removed and tested and transported to Metropolia laboratory, and what should be done to it so that it could be reused in another building. And this was very important project. And then this Digipurku, which was the last one, which we just finalized now in the end of June this year. This was focusing on the digital solutions. So it included the BIM modeling of demolished buildings, for instance. So in the Digipurku, the approach was that the digital tools can help the circular economy, so that if we have if we have this target building which is going to be demolished, and we have a BIM model about it, how can we include information of the building parts to the BIM model, and how can we in the best possible way utilize this information for the next phases for the reuse. And in this project there was a kind of model, working model developed for this process together with the partners. We had 4 pilot cases in Digipurku. This is one of the cases, this building at Helsinki Savonkatu, and these were in Kanta-Häme and Uusimaa regions, these pilots. So a very good project. And we have a lot of results published also, which you can find on our website. A very comprehensive report of this project, and also even BIM like this templates for this kind of use. So I think that this is an example how we are developing the circular economy of demolition and construction, and I think that this is something that has been becoming even more important, as we just saw in Isabel's presentation. It's becoming more important in Europe, and we even see that in other countries, as we heard, like South Korea. It's a global problem. We have to use our resources and virgin materials more wisely, and we also have to do it in a low carbon way to address the climate change. Okay, then if we go to this topic as how we operate as an innovation cluster in the Built4People framework. So this is an example that, like a hypothetical example, how could we work together with the companies in this kind of project? So as we heard, this framework, this partnership works in practice in development projects, and that's our topic today as well. So we could participate to a European related R&D project call if we find an appropriate call with our partners as an innovation cluster. And of course, we are happy that we have this status of innovation cluster now in this partnership, and there's also a lot of other clusters that can collaborate with us, for instance. And then the company cannot directly take part as a partner in this kind of project because of the European Union, like the core regulations, but it can act as an associated organization. So that is kind of it's not a partner in the actual project, but it's connected to the project. And so if we have, for instance, a pilot case, we could for example, develop and test the reuse of the demolished materials with digital processes in some kind of case. Then we would have a construction operator company, for instance, who would work with the used parts and how to operate so that they are going to be reused in some new building or some new construction. So this is something that the project partners cannot do, but the companies can do. And then also, if we have a pilot, we would need to have the pilot real estate, and the real estate owner is usually a company. It can be, of course, a city or municipality, but it could be also a company. And that's another way how a company could collaborate in this kind of project. And of course, there's more roles for companies in this kind of pilots, depending on the pilot. But this is just an example for you to see how they can join with our collaboration. And what is the motivation for this operator company? They could target to pilot their services regarding to demolition. And this is something that is like added value for them. And also for the real estate owner, they may get the project to carry out a circular pilot at their premises, which is also maybe a bonus for them for the project. So everybody needs to win something from this collaboration, of course, so that it can happen. And we, as a project partner, could be facilitating the case. And then we have, for instance, applied university. It could be Metropolia or some other university, whatever. So they could work with, for instance, with the digital process research and development part in this case. And then in the projects, of course, a good thing is that we have other European project partners and we can collaborate with them. And so this is the whole idea of the European network and these innovation clusters. So this gives you an idea of a hypothetical case, how the companies could collaborate with us. So what is required for a company if it collaborates with us in this frame? Of course, we need to have this suitable RDI project. And we heard a very good presentation from Isabel how these calls are formed and the definitions of the scope of the call and so on, and the expected outputs, they have to be matching. And then the project consortium that we form, it has to be scientifically and substance-wise very high quality. And also it has to have the matching and balanced European partnership. So we cannot make the project so that it's very much in balance, that, for instance, all the budget is coming to Finland or all the budget is going to France. It has to be in balance and the roles have to be in balance in a good project. Then the company is willing to collaborate as an associated organization in the project. So if it joins, it also has to share information about their activities. It has to be willing to share information of the pilot case, because that's the idea of the development project in general, that it shares information. So this is something that they should understand. The role of the company can be a pilot collaborator. It has no budget in the project in that case, or it could be a service provider. And that's a special case. If it's a service provider, it could maybe have even some budget from the project. But in that case, there must be a tender call. And this is like usual in the public funding. And the tender call should be made by the project partner for the selection of the service provider. And we cannot 100% fix the service provider in the application phase. But of course, this is one way to collaborate with company. So this is like how it works in practice for the companies to take part in a project. Then how the company can benefit from our project collaboration. So of course, the pilot case is linked to European networks. You heard that these are European projects, and as Isabel said, they can gain by finding new partners in new markets and so on. And then the company can widen their European networks. The company can also increase publicity in our cluster and this network when they take part, and they can strengthen the collaboration between the pilot cases other companies in Finland. Like in this hypothetical case, they would be very closely working with the real estate owner, with this operator, with the construction company, design company, and so on. So we have a good group of like active companies who get to know each other and work together. So that's a benefit. And then also, of course, the development progress and the results is a step towards the bringing the new innovations of the company to market. And then, as an opportunity, also GNF members, our cluster members, can get access to several testing platforms in Europe with this partnership. This is possible. So there's a lot of different specialized platforms for different kind of testing and scientific facilities that we can get access through this network. And for instance, if a company has products and they want to do some kind of specific testing, they could utilize these kind of networks. And often with these projects, GNF facilitates a stakeholder group. So the company can also just follow our project and come to the project events. Like in Digipurku, we had a stakeholder group and with many companies interested in this field, and they could hear about the latest research and also get connected by coming to the stakeholder group events. Okay, so now I conclude. First, Net Finland is an active green tech cluster, and we are a research and development project developer, and we work in the development of circular economy of demolition and construction, especially together with our members. And we are open to new members, so any company interested can join, or any organization, you are welcome. And we are also a Built4People innovation cluster in Finland. And this company collaboration can be done in many different ways. I gave you some examples, and also it can be done within the project pilot cases or stakeholder groups, for example. Okay, so that's my presentation. Thank you for attention.
Thank you. Questions?
One question.
Okay.
I think there's no doubt that everyone can see the value in working with you and this cluster. So a very concrete question, the first step, how does one become a member?
Just open our website, gnf.fi, and there's a membership form there which you can fill. And so if you are working in this clean tech or this kind of business or this development, you can send us an application form. You can also find our annual fees, partnership fees there. They are on the website. They are very moderate for our cluster, and our board will then accept this application in the next meeting. So that's how it works, basically.
Thank you.
So you're welcome.
Another question, yes.
Okay. Hi, because I don't know if we are running out of skills. Very quickly question. I know that Net Finland was just last year signed the charter, so I don't know how much opportunity you had to interact with the other cluster. But do you know enough? Because I showed that map.
Yeah.
And you show your priorities like circularity, for example, because that's the idea also to match. Do you know from the others? Have you had time to explore what could be the best, let's say, matchings?
Yeah, we have some good matchings. We have even collaborated in some proposal preparation. And I just met, for instance, last week, I was in Vaasa in a European Cluster Collaboration Conference, and there was the Built4People cluster architects from Budapest there, for instance, the members. And so it was really nice to meet there just by accident. And so I think that we have good chances to collaborate, because I think that in our case, we have been working now as I showed, we have been working with many years in Finland with this topic, and we have a lot of expertise in these consortiums. And I think that it would be great to do some European collaboration at this point, and that would be like clearly the next step. So to do it in this Built4People framework, I think it would be very good, great thing if that could be realized. I hope we can do it sometime.
Sounds good. Thank you.
There's one question.
More.
Okay, one technical question came on my mind when you explained this Digipurku project.
Yes.
And you mentioned that the BIM models was used there on demolishing in somehow. And now at the same time, here in Finland, we are implementing in building permits BIM models. And my question is, have you or do you know if the group did check if there's appropriate presets also for those BIM models when the buildings are made and when they are delivered for the archiving? Because when they are in the archive, you could get the exact model when it's time to demolish it or remodel.
Yes, that's a good question, and clearly there's this need. So we collaborated in Digipurku, for instance, the Ministry of Environment was in our steering board, and we collaborated with them. They are very committed to increase the role of the digitalization, but their goals at this point were mainly related to this problem of the statistics and how to get a clear picture of our materials that come out of the demolition, and this is already like we have this RAPU system in Finland now, this digital database, and that was their main focus. So I think that this kind of national system doesn't exist to my knowledge, that you would be storing the BIM models. Maybe Seppo has some good.
Yes, if I may say something about Digipurku. So I think the main problem is that virtually none of the buildings that are demolished nowadays have an existing BIM model. So the question actually turned into the kind of what would be the technologies to create rapidly BIM models in the end of the life cycle to help in the demolition process, but also help to identify and kind of locate those parts that might be reused as well. And I think the situation when this Construction Act will actually have this effect that we will have BIM models of the buildings that will be demolished, it will take like 30 years probably at least, or even more. Yeah.
Yes, but it's good to think about that anyway for the future.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Seppo. Yes, and this was what Seppo said. This was really like the starting point for our Digipurku project, that we realized in our previous pilot cases in this Hyppe project, we had, for instance, paper drawings of the demolished block of flats, and the same papers were used for 3 different buildings, and so none of them were up to date when you start to think about reuse. So that's the situation very often in demolishing in Finland. The demolished buildings are a bit older, and so this reuse is very challenging. But we tested and piloted like scanning methods and how to make a BIM model of an existing building quickly.
Yes, that's definitely the situation at the moment. But did you recognize any? What if you make the BIM model of the demolishing building? Did you recognize what are the information which are needed for this demolishing? Because that information can be very easily added on the new buildings, which of course can be used maybe 30 to 50 years from now.
Yes, maybe Seppo can answer better.
Yeah.
Yes. So we kind of identified the information contents that would be useful in the reuse phase, and some of these deal with the kind of original the way the building was originally built. So especially the material info, but also I guess the connections, how you actually have connected the components, because that's quite crucial to the
like joints,
like a deconstruction if you want to induct removal of components.
Exactly.
But then a lot of these contents were actually about the testing that you need to do if you actually decide or if you come into a process where you think that some components would be reused, because then you kind of increasingly have to do more like a deep kind of studies of the components and when you have like more commitment that this looks like a potential component to reuse. And these tests were actually specified for many component types in another project that was running parallel to Digipurku, which is called U-Racket, which was managed by Rakennustietosäätiö.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful to see the passion of bright minds and problem-solving examples here, already starting to start new development ideas. But on to the next presentation.
Now it's time to go forward to see what kind of specific goals we have for us to take on, and what does it take to actually make those proposals and applications.
Yes.
Please, Hanna Timonen, grant writing specialist from Metropolia.
Thank you, Teemo. I'll try to make this quick and sweet, so we can catch up a little on the schedule. But the main thing maybe as a takeaway here is that as I don't remember anymore who was it that said that these projects can be a little complex, and the Horizon Europe framework can seem a little bit overwhelming when you look at it, but we're here to help. I'm a funding advisor and grant writer at Metropolia, University of Applied Sciences. My background is in Aalto in industrial engineering and management, so I'm not a construction sector specialist, but we have those as well presenting today. And then also in VTT, we have people in the same role that we can help you kind of navigate and manage these kind of projects. Horizon Europe already, this framework program that ends in 27, is the EU's largest investment in research, development, innovation activities, and one of the world's biggest programs on research and innovation. So the whole budget of the framework program is over 95 billion euros for the 7 years. And as we heard, the next framework program will probably even be bigger. But today, in my presentation, I will focus on this framework program. And as you can see, even if our wish is to get even more money to Finland from this framework program, there are already over 230 even small and medium-sized enterprises that have received funding from Horizon Europe framework program. So it's not a kind of it can seem complex, but it's manageable. So when you look at this a big picture, where we are now focusing when we talk about partnerships and these kind of collaborative projects between research organizations and companies, is this what is called the Pillar 2 that focuses on these global challenges and European industrial competitiveness. And this is something that will continue also in the next framework program. And it has over half of the budget of the Horizon Europe framework program. So these projects, quickly, what you need to understand from them, as Isabel said, they are grant-based funding that typically have many different type of partners involved. So research organizations, big companies, small companies, NGOs, and so on, depending on the topic and the expectations of the Commission on what is kind of the solutions and applications that we are building in these projects. There are two types of projects. that you have research and innovation projects at typically the TR level, so the technical readiness level of the solutions is a bit lower. And then you have innovation projects, where typically also already the companies have a much bigger role. And in both of these projects, companies do typically partners get funding. So it's if you're used to European funding from grants like structural funds that the Digipurku project was, their companies might not always get funding, but in Horizon Europe calls, they do. If it's an innovation action project, then companies don't get 100% funding, but it's still 70%. So it's quite interesting. And a typical project is around 4 years. But what does it mean when we now start looking at calls? Typically, before a project starts, yes, okay, technical issues, but I'll continue at the same time. So if you start looking at calls, before the start of, we can start the project that lasts 4 years. Of course, first we need to prepare the projects. And if you look at the deadlines of the calls, typically you need to start building your consortium at least 4 months before the deadline. Because if we are talking about consortiums that have 30, even 30 partners all over Europe, it of course takes time for defining the joint objectives and goals that we want to work on. And then after the call deadline, the project will typically start around 6 months after the deadline. So how does the preparation typically go? First, you have a project idea. And here, of course, we are here to help for you to connect your vision and needs, not only from the research organization, but actually the industry and the company needs that are existing, with the open calls that have a predefined expectation of what Commission wants from the calls. So we kind of try to match the calls with your needs. Then we build a consortium where we kind of formulate then what are our joint goals and objectives for this particular project that we start. When writing the proposal, we of course then go into more detail, describe the different roles, tasks, expected results of the projects. And this is the phase that typically takes a couple of months before the deadline. And then we submit the proposal. Here the coordinator is the one that technically we do the submission, but of course all the companies need to provide their own information, for example, budget and involved persons. The typical evaluation of the outcome of the proposal comes around 3 months. And then if we get a positive funding decision, we'll prepare the grant agreement and the consortium agreement that define then more specifically and in more detail the actual obligations of each partner. And then you can start working on the project. Ilkka already mentioned a couple ways that companies can participate in these projects. This is my take on this same issue, and I think there are always different ways that you can be involved. You can either deliver a case study where we can kind of, the researchers can study and demonstrate the practical application, relevance and impact of the developed solutions. You can be an industrial demonstrator, or you can also use the project to evaluate the business potential of the solutions that are being developed, especially in innovation action projects that are closer to commercialization. You can already start making plans for the commercial exploitation of the results. You can specify requirements when you participate, and then you can of course engage in international collaboration, as Ilkka explained. And finally then, I will, as Isabel talked about the Built4People, the topic of today, the European partnership that we are talking about today. Isabel told you how the topics and the calls are being formed, how companies can collaborate and participate in deciding what kind of topics are important for us to study. But then I'm kind of showing how they then land in the program. So the Built4People topics are typically located under what we call cluster 5. Sorry that information is not on the slide, but so one of the clusters of the pillar 2 of the framework program. And it's under a destination called efficient, sustainable, and inclusive energy use. So that destination includes also some other calls that are not related to built environment. But one of the main impact expected from this destination, there is highly energy efficient and climate neutral European building stock. And this is from this year's work program. So here you see kind of what are the impacts or topics where the Commission currently is expecting solutions to be developed. So there are issues relating to energy performance and resource efficiency, less disruptive renovation and construction, reducing climate and environmental impact, and then interacting with different users, energy systems, and the environment when it relates to buildings in Europe. So these are the current focus points. So I'm not going to present you what are the things being discussed in the future work programs. You can kind of be in contact later and we can tell you more. But I'm showing what are kind of how these are then, these expected impacts are being seen in the actual calls that are open this year, or actually more next year, and then in 27. So the currently open calls that you find on the European Commission's funding and tender website are these. There are 2 calls that are open, and the deadline is in February next year. So if you're thinking back to the timeline that I presented, if you're interested in these calls, you should be in contact immediately and start discussing potential collaboration. So there's a call on innovative pathways for low carbon and climate resilient building stock and building environment. So that is a research and innovation action. And then the other one, I don't have it in mind, so I need to see the slide first. There it is. Optimal combination of low embodied carbon construction products, technical building systems, and circularity principles for climate neutral buildings. So those calls are currently open and you can find them, the text through the links. And then I have preliminary information on calls that will be open in 26 and 27. These are currently not yet open, finalized and published on the funding and tender website, but you can actually find them online. They have now been made public by the Commission. They might be a bit hard to find. There are meeting memo attachments, but here I've tried to combine you the topics that are forthcoming. So in the cluster 5, you have 4 topics and calls that will open specifically related to Built4People partnerships. And all these deadlines are in September. And then, as Isabel whispered in my ear, there's a joint call also that can be found in the European Cities Mission work program that is made in collaboration with the Mission, the New European Bauhaus program, and then Built4People. And this, apparently this topic that relates to circular economy models in construction would be, for example, a good fit with the kind of topics you discussed after the last presentation. So this is something that I hope you will take notice. There are also some other topics I collected here that relate to the construction sector more generally, but are not specifically built for people topics. But these are under the new European Bauhaus Facility Program. So if you're more focused on the kind of the community neighborhood, the more kind of also the more maybe design aspects of the built environment, this might be interesting for you. And then for the 27, we also have at least one call that will open under the Built4People program that relates to circularity in LCA-based modeling frameworks. So this is specifically for renovation kind of topics. And then you also there then have in other parts of the framework program, you will have in the cluster 5, you'll have couple of topics that might relate to building renovation and construction. And then in a European Bauhaus facility also you have some topics. But I will not go through these in more detail. If you're interested in the specific, please do contact us at Metropolia or VTT. We can tell you more and we can start collaborating on these topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanna. Let's take questions in the chat, and we will discuss those later because we're kind of a bit late on time. So I would like to invite Seppo Törmä and Jenni Radun next to discuss RDI themes for built environment. Go ahead.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. So we come from Metropolia and present two research programs related to built environment. My name is Seppo Törmä and I'm the head of the program called Intelligence and Life. Oh, sorry. Perhaps I should start again. So mic was not on. So we come from Metropolia and we come from two research programs related to built environment. My name is Seppo Törmä and I'm head of the program called Intelligence and Lifecycle Wisdom in the built environment. And it's broadly about digital solutions and sustainability challenges in built environment. And I'm here with Jenni Radun, who comes from the program, who's director of the research program Design for Regenerative Cities.
So our innovation hub is called Smart and Creative Cities, and Seppo presents Smart and I present Creative. And so the view of the creative part is the human view on built environment. So we have the user view, understanding user's perspective, and the system view, how the system can be adapted. We have these teams that can be for research. So these RDI programs are from user experience. So we have experience on user indoor environmental factors, user satisfaction, stress effects related to different environments, performance effects related to different environments, functionality of space, and user understanding in interventions. And then we have these design aspects, how to design impactful interventions, participatory planning, co-design, action research, service design, and prototyping. So if you feel that there is something that would interest you here, please contact us. And we also have there in the middle the virtual reality, augmented reality part. We are collaborating closely with the Helsinki XR Center that is placed in Metropolia. And we are using that knowledge in our, for example, in our interventions. So that was shortly my part.
Okay, thanks, Jenni. So my From my part, the research broadly deals with the digitalization of construction. And I think there are like two big themes here. One is the kind of the emergence of artificial intelligence technologies, and we are not really like AI researchers, but we try to apply those technologies to various problems in the built environment. Of course, there are things that are kind of challenging in this application, because a lot of these recent results with large language models are not that applicable to problems of built environment. We are often dealing with like real world data kind of models or point clouds or things like that, which are not really like text. It's possible to utilize some of these technologies, but we also kind of try to follow what's happening with the, let's say, word models. What can we do with AI agents? Perhaps there are some ways to utilize graph AI to do generative production of BIM models, like based on perhaps one discipline model based on another discipline model or something like that. And of course, technologies for automatic planning seem to be evolving, and they are like really they have a big promise. Of course, if we have those technologies also in construction, especially like in the construction phase, where you have a lot of need for plan revision and so on. So another big area that affects these are interoperability technologies. So how you kind of manage the information in a way that you could connect different parts of these problems, so that kind of you could bring down the silos or bridge the silos between different disciplines or trades or companies. Some specific research topics that we have been interested deal with the automation of inter-organizational workflows. So especially when you're moving from the design phase to like a physical phase, like from the information production in the beginning of the project to the construction phase, there is a bit between that. There is like a product selection, actions, procurement, supply chain management, perhaps supplies to attack the area, and these kind of things. And these are surprisingly manual, these processes nowadays. And there's a lot of promise and a lot of interest actually by Finnish companies to create automatic solutions for that area. Of course, one important area is reality capture. And all kinds of data gathering technologies that are developing, but the technology is developing really fast, and where we could also apply AI technologies, machine learning, and so on. And especially automated scan to BIM is an area where which would be really useful. For instance, this Digipurku challenge that if we want to create BIM models towards the end of the life of a building, that we would have some automation that could generate these BIM models, and not necessarily just based on the let's say scan results, but also based on previous drawings and other information that we have the building typical building practices at the time when the building was constructed. These technologies could be used in 3D progress monitoring, and there are of course all kinds of sensor systems and positioning things that would be really useful when they are like mature enough that they could be applied in construction site. Overall, industrialized construction is one thing. So this deals with prefabrication, on-site robotics, and machine control, 3D printing, and stuff like that. And then digital twins, where we are perhaps reason to be most interested in this kind of process-related digital twins, especially in healthcare context. So how the processes work in hospitals and so on. Okay, and then there are some kind of these dreamlike things here. What we would like to achieve, of course, we are quite far from these goals, but we would have these kind of optimized designs and operations, overall ability to react fast to changes and carry out projects with high quality and in a smooth way, and have this kind of end-to-end digital and physical workflow overall, bridge the silos between disciplines, trades, and companies, and keep the, let's say, models that we create, like the BIM models, alive, so that we could continue using them and getting benefits from them over the life cycle of the project. Yes, please go ahead. Yes. Then we, of course, have these kind of more like challenges in sustainability area, which where I think the point is not so much the technology or research, but perhaps a development of kind of solving practical problems, which are really important. And circular construction overall is a big challenge. Reuse of components. What kind of business models we could have there? Could we actually reuse the spaces themselves, kind of extend the lifespan of the building and repurpose the buildings? All kinds of planning technologies for this kind of intact removal of components and so on. And of course, there are these things that come from regulations, that these digital product passports that should be developed, where perhaps we need to create ontologies and this kind of other semantic models of the data. The question of the whole life like emissions or this CO2, perhaps based on the detailed operational simulation of the activities in the building, like a hospital, and the data platforms to manage that. Resilience is becoming very important topic. So to do this kind of digital twin related stress testing of buildings and how to optimize for this perhaps more extreme weather conditions. Then it seems that in especially in the upcoming research programs of EU, a lot of goals actually address specifically renovation, not so much construction, but renovation. I think this is this kind of need to renovate existing building stock is more pronounced in the southern Europe perhaps than here in Finland, but it's reflected in the calls. So we we should have technologies to kind of map buildings fast. So this deals with the automatic scan to BIM, but also that includes technologies to get information from the hidden structures of the buildings. There are these regulations dealing with building renovation passports that should be taken into use. How you make low disturbance renovations and develop circularity or utilize circularity strategies in renovations. And of course, energy performance is an important area, energy flexibility and these kind of grid interactive buildings and positive energy districts. So this was a kind of a quick set of ideas that we have for the some research topics that might be addressed. And if you are interested, you could contact Jenny or me, and we could discuss further about these topics. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, as we are over time already, so please contact Seppo or Jenny if you're interested in discussing more about these topics and maybe joining some project proposals on that. We will go a little bit more over time as we have some flexibility here. But if you can't join the rest of the session, the recording will be available immediately on LinkedIn and YouTube, so you can check it from there. I was also asked to kind of have a brief overview on KIRAHub's ecosystems for boosting your journey. And I'm going to be super quick on this. So probably most of you already know that KIRAHub is a kind of a national innovation hub for the built environment sector in Finland. We were founded by 13 industry associations representing all the subsectors. So basically the KIRA Forum is associations. Within our strategy, there's 3 different main points. We want to promote selected development teams with our collaboration members. We are connecting right stakeholders, so we do a lot of matchmaking directly and through events. And then we are facilitating the adoption of new solutions and flow of data within the built environment sector. And at the moment, we have a little bit over 100 collaboration members, and then, of course, those 13 founding members within our sphere. So one of the key mechanisms that we work with our members is the thematic ecosystems. We have 3 different ecosystems running active at the moment. First is CO2 Data Hub, which is, well, scope is already more than CO2. It's basically all the ESG data now, but collecting and sharing ESG data within the built environment sector, where, of course, the reporting, CSRD, etc., are driving that transition. Second one is on development of digital building permit processes and also BIM-based building permit processes, where, of course, the legislation is driving that as well. And third one is PropTech Finland, which means all the technology startups and scale-ups within the built environment sector and how we can boost their journey for growth in Finland and abroad. Yes. There we have, of course, a lot of startups and scale-ups, but also corporations that want to build new relationships with growth companies. Also, a couple of international networks that we are part of, where actually there's been a lot of discussion and preparations for EU projects. I was actually this week at the Urban Hub Europe network meeting in Spain, where we discussed a lot of new calls where we could activate our local networks. So Urban Hub Europe network is a kind of a umbrella network of similar innovation hubs from different European countries focusing on the built environment sector. All of us are operating as non-profit associations. So we have Blocks Hub from Denmark, Contact Lab also from Denmark, Digital Construction Cluster from Estonia, KIRAHub from Finland, and Munich Urban Collab from Germany, and then Nordic Edge from Norway and Smart City Cluster from Spain. Another network we are involved through the European Digital Innovation Hubs that we are in 2 different projects in Finland at the moment, the Finnish AI Region Fair and Location Innovation Hub LIH. So there we also have the ED working group construction, where all the EDs around the world focusing on construction or built environment are meeting regularly to discuss the latest developments, but also now discussing a lot more and more on potential joint EU project proposals as well. And then as a third one, where we are also a member, is the EU BIM Task Group, where our membership is mostly focusing on the digital building permit ecosystem and BIM-based building permitting. But that's also a network where we could also influence on the agendas on EU level, but then also find potential interest and partners to EU project proposals. And maybe just a small promotion on our upcoming event. Recotech, Real Estate and Construction Technologies, will be here in November during the Slush week, just before Slush on Tuesday. The event itself, it's free to attend. So from the QR code, please go check it out and hopefully see you there. And then I would like to ask Pontus to wrap up today's session.
Thank you so much, Teemu. Yes, what's next is go back and watch the stream again. It's recorded and you can find it online on YouTube and KIRAHub's LinkedIn. And of course, you should follow KIRAHub on LinkedIn and join the ecosystems here, become a member, because it's all about being in the right place at the right time and with the right people and making connections. And that's where it all begins. And meetings of minds. And as I also mentioned, thank you to all the speakers for very insightful and information-packed presentations. So I'm sure it will take a while to digest. And thank you, Seppo and Jenny, also for inspiring some ideas about what type of topics in the future we need to develop. And if you run out of ideas, then as I mentioned before, Rakennustieto has collected a research based on industry insights. It's you yourselves who are watching who have collaborated and contributed to the insights of this book. It can also be found as a PDF online at Rakennustietosäätiö, RTS. It's called Ilmiöverkosto, kiinteistö- ja rakentamisalan kehityksen suunnat 2025. Although it looks forward about 10 years into the future about what issues there are, trends. For instance, what to do with all the empty office spaces that we are currently having as a result of hybrid working, as well as the digitalization of the way we work, and the less need for cabinet space, for instance. And so I should wrap this up by saying that see you at Recotech. Come and talk to me and my colleagues there. Also connect with me and everyone else here on LinkedIn who are here as speakers, as well as following our organizations. And Vaikuttavat Verkostot will continue to host and organize these type of events. We are not only here looking at things from a Metropolia perspective. As you can see, we are looking here to help companies to boost your RDI efforts and find the right connections and in order to scale and become profitable and manage in an international global market. Thank you again for tuning in today, and thank you for everyone for coming, and see you next time.